welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be ranking 10 random decks in my collection. I've been seeing this tag by Fairlight Tarot go around, and it's been really fun to watch everybody's rankings, and I thought I would hop on and join in on the bandwagon. I prompted my partner to pick 10 random decks, and he was super excited to do that. He isn't into tarot. I have done readings for him in the past, but he does not practice it regularly like I do. So without further ado, let's hop right in. I have the bag positioned behind me of all the decks that he chose. So let's just hop right into it. Okay, first deck, I'm reaching behind me. The Fountain Tarot. Okay. I love the Fountain Tarot's box. I think it's the best box setup. And this deck is very ethereal, very airy, I think. And it's been in my collection for a while now, one of the longest ones. Love the silver edging. I am definitely more a fan of silver than gold, which might be an unpopular opinion, but I've had some really great in-depth readings with this one, and I consider it feels like a friend. It feels like a really good friend who I can go to no matter what I'm seeking or what I want to know or what I want to work on, and it's always there for me. It feels very comforting. I do know that at first perhaps this deck can feel a little cold or airy, glassy maybe, if that makes sense, but it's really got a lot of depth to it. And like an old friend that you may have, you can go a long time without talking to them, but as soon as you reach out to them once again, it's like no time has passed. And that's the type of vibes that the Fountain Tarot gives me. I always thought that this card looked like Lady Gaga. Sorry to taint that in your mind. Zac Efron right here. Anyway, like I said, it has been a while since I've used it. Well, I take that back. I think I used it a couple weeks ago, and it was just as clear and crisp as ever. So, let's see. I can tell this is going to be tough. Where would I put it? I'm thinking right here somewhere initially off the jump. Gosh, I wish I could do 4.5. But 4. Okay, on to the next one. Let's see. Ooh, the Gill Tarot. Awesome. I originally was introduced to this deck by Katie Flowers, as I'm sure most of you probably were too, and I haven't worked with it a whole lot, and I have had this deck in purgatory many times, but I think that every time I put it in purgatory and I bring it back out and I'm like, okay, let's evaluate, I can't do it. The artwork is so stunning. The colors are right up my alley. I love the keywords on the pips. I think that this could really teach me something. And every time, I think it's been in purgatory maybe 3 or 4 times, but every time it's there, I do think about it a lot. I think about this deck, and so to me that really signifies that it has a lot left or open to teach me, and I can never quite part with it. But like I mentioned, I haven't exactly done a deep dive with this deck, and I definitely need to. I really want to because it is outside of the RWS. And I haven't spent a lot of time outside of RWS decks, so this is really a teaching deck for me, and it really needs a lot of time and respect in that way. This has been such an important deck to me. I just can't part with it. So let's see. I think my gut is saying 7 or 8. I don't know why 8 feels right, but the Gill Tarot. If you don't have the Gill Tarot, it's really unique and special, and I highly recommend. Okay, next we have, I feel a bag. Ooh, okay. This is the Stella Tarot, and I got this deck, I've had it maybe about 1.5 years, and it is so quirky and it is so fun. It feels like, I don't know, little, it's like collagey looking to me. They remind me of like little porcelain dolls almost, in a way. But this deck, I was really attracted to it because of the quirk factor. I do love the colors. I actually don't mind the borders. I know it is a lot, but it would be nice to have more of the image. But it's a beautiful size. It's just, I think, just slightly bigger than a standard playing card or bridge size, which is nice for those who have smaller hands like me. But this deck really gets me because I feel it is me. It represents that introverted side of myself, the quiet contemplation and the shy part of me. I just think that the images are very evocative. They're a little different and off the wall, but so beautiful. Look at the star. The moon is in the star. I don't know. I really, really like her so much. And when I am needing to feel understood, when I need a deck to really get me, this is one that I go to because it reflects so much of that introverted side of myself, that hermit part of me. But I don't, that being said, that it's a very niche use for me, so I don't use it all the time, but when I really need it, it's there for me. So let's pull out the list here. Stella Tarot. It feels right to put her at the number 7 spot. So Stella's Tarot. I believe that deck is out of print, but I did find my copy on Etsy for a pretty reasonable price. So. Okay, next. I had a feeling. Who's gonna pick this one. Okay. This is the lovely Desert Illuminations Tarot, and it is one of my unicorn decks that I recently acquired, I think about a month ago now. It hasn't been too long since I've had it, but I searched high and low for this, and I missed an opportunity to acquire it, and I was kicking myself the whole time. But this deck runs from, I mean, you're not really gonna find a copy for less than $100, so kind of got to know that going into it, and everybody is really truly seeking this deck. I scrolled through all the tarot marketplaces, and there's so many that are still looking for it. This is the first edition, and I know that there's a second edition out there, and then US Games has picked it up. and the creator says it is due to be released early in 2025. So good news for everyone who really is seeking this deck. There will be a mass market version. I love the aliens. I love the cowboys. I love the Wild Wild West feel, that New Mexico, very quirky and cultural depth that this deck has. It really speaks to the Southwest, and I know the Southwest is very near and dear to the creator's heart, and I feel a special bond to Latin America, the history, the culture, and I've been wanting to study Latin American history and culture and really dive into that interest that I have. I can't, it's just so, it's been in my heart for a long time. And when I saw this deck, I knew it would help me understand the meaning behind all the choices here and take me farther into studying Latin America and Mesoamericans in a respectful way, and in a way that's very much a style that I am attracted to. All the bold colors, the beautiful backs, everything about this is what I love in a deck. The cardstock is very flexible. It's a lot thinner than I was expecting, but it's actually very heavy in your hand when you're holding it. So this deck and I mean, before I even got it, was a wild journey to try and find it, and I have so much respect for it, and I'm so happy to have it in my collection. I haven't used it a lot as I've just gotten it, so this one's going to be hard to rank because, like I mentioned, it is a unicorn deck. However, I haven't worked with it long, and it's still finding a purpose in my collection. Ooh, this one. Oh, man. I feel like there are other decks that deserve to be here more. So let's put it at 5. Desert. I can't spell. Apparently. Okay. Next one. Okay. Oh, the Tarotbot. Oh my gosh. I adore this deck. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm smiling from ear to ear. This is such a precious deck to me. It's about these robots. Oh my gosh, I really could cry. I feel emotional about this. The robots in here are so expressive. They're just so adorable, but they do depict tougher cards really well. I just adore these robots. They just are, I don't know, I feel like there's such an innocence to this deck, a curiosity. It's to me, a very fiery deck in the sense of wonderment and awe and discovery. I've had this deck for a while, and this is the bordered first edition. I believe the second edition is borderless, or maybe it's flip-flopped. The first edition is the borderless and the second one is bordered. I believe the artist wanted to see what it would look like one way and the other, so there are 2 editions. This was Kickstartered twice for both editions. I think I missed out on the Kickstarters, but I was able to go to the page and there were some leftover copies at the time. And I love this deck so much that I did end up buying a backup copy because, as you can see, the wear and tear on the edging is a lot. And yes, I have used this, but I was hoping, and there's a lot of fraying here. I was hoping that it would be a little bit more durable, but when I got that backup copy, it just didn't feel like my copy. So I did end up selling it again, which I learned a lot about myself is even if the original thing is battered and tattered and worn, I still love it to pieces, and using a newer copy or another copy, it just doesn't feel the same. This is my Tarotbot, and look at the Fool. He's so adorable. He's so adorable. I love him so much. I get so much joy from using this when I need a smile, when I need, similar to the Fountain Tarot, when I need a pick-me-up or a friend to talk to be there for me. This one really is there. Okay. Ugh, I feel like I'm trying to flip through this as much as possible because I'm avoiding the ranking part. Okay. Oh man. I'm considering 6 and 3. The only reason I wouldn't put it in 3 is because, similar to Fountain and Stella, I don't reach for it on the daily, though I could. I really could. I'm just gonna go for it and put it in the 3rd slot. Yeah, that feels right so far. We'll see. Okay, next one. Oh, this pile in this bag is getting smaller. Okay, the local honey picture box. I'm so glad that he decided to choose an oracle. This was a Kickstarter, and this image here on the box is really what made me want to support it. It's so amazing. But when I got it, these are the beautiful backs, and the Kickstarter came with a pin of this, and I'm a sucker for pins, so when I got this deck, I felt a little different about the images that I saw on the campaign and what I got in hand. And that's not anything to do with the creator or anything like that. These are exactly what were online on the Kickstarter page. It's all on me, so I need to say that. It's all on me. The artist is so talented. I think that she has such an eye for people and capturing their essences. And she did have, these are live models that she had model for her paintings. And while I appreciate that aspect, there are certain cards in here that I don't connect with as much. That because of the true realness of the people and how they're depicted, it kind of takes me out of the reading almost, in a weird way. Like, I could run into this person. I know somebody like this. Somebody I know looks like that. And however, I will say in practice, like, this is one of the cards I don't try to convince people. I don't really think the phrase matches the image either. But to contradict that, I guess, in practice, when I use it in readings, it is very complementary to the reading that I'm doing. I've used this only for myself, but every time I pull it out, and whether or not I get a card that I can resonate with visually or not, the message fits in so beautifully. And I really appreciate it for that. And that's why I think it's important to give a deck a chance. Even if you open the box and you feel like you should have connected with it, or you did digitally or seeing images online, but then you don't in person, give it a chance. Maybe it needs to take a rest for a while. This is another one of the cards that just makes me feel uncomfortable a little bit. But even if a deck doesn't instantly resonate with you off the jump, give it some time, put it into practice, and you never know what can happen from there. Even with as much as it really vibes with me or works with me and is beautiful, I have to put it at the bottom of this list just because the fact that I have no idea what else is in this bag. Local honey picture box. Okay, we have 1, 2, 4 more to go. Oh man. Okay, reaching in. Oh, Sasuraibito. Classic at this point in the tarot community. I love this deck. This was my first deck ever. It's the first deck I purchased when I first really wanted to get a tarot deck. This was it. There is a kind of a little bit of a story. When I first started working with this deck, I didn't know anything about shuffling. I didn't know anything about gold gilding. So obviously with using it, gilding can chip. And I was practicing shuffling on this, which probably wasn't a good idea, and really chipped the heck out of the gilding. So I decided to trim the teeny tiny borders, which I had no idea what I was doing either. Modding was, everything tarot related was brand spanking new to me. And here I am with a gold gilded deck that's chipped, and I am trying to follow Dawn Michelle's tutorial on how she trims decks. I did an okay job trimming it, but I really regretted it. And so I ended up getting rid of it and I repurchased. But by the time I repurchased this deck, the creator had made this cardstock in a matte texture as opposed to this gloss. And I was really upset about it because I feel like the gloss does this deck the most service and justice. The colors in here just really pop on this glossy cardstock. And the matte, while it's still gorgeous and it's still beautiful and the colors do still come across, I just really felt like deflated when I got the matte version. And this year I was searching for a copy that had the glossy stock, and the good old tarot marketplace, which is a very dangerous place there, I came across a 4th edition, and I asked the seller if it was glossy cardstock, and they said yes, and I hopped right on it. And so when I got this copy back, I immediately I remembered what it was like when tarot was brand new, and that feeling of learning, and everything was so, just that sense of wonderment that you have when you're first discovering something that's cool and that aligns with you so much. And I fell so much back in love with this deck, and it is a staple in my collection, and it always will be. And again, it's just one I can come back to over and over, and it's like we never spent any time apart. Okay, now where would I put this? I would say it can't go in 9 or 6, but I'm not sure what else is in there, so I am going to have to put it in number 2. Sasuraibito. Okay. Next. Oh no. Anima Mundi. Oh no, what am I gonna do? Oh man. Okay. This deck has been around for a long time. The seller still sells it on Etsy. You can still find it. It's still in print. It's got the most delicious linen, fine linen texture. I love how it is a little bit more on the pip side, but it has feeling. I think this would be a great Marseille transition deck to use. It's all animal creatures and such of nature, except for the devil, which is a human, and it makes so much sense. I love this deck. The only animal that is not in here that matters so much to me is a rhino, but that's pretty much par for the course with animal decks. They don't usually have a rhino in it, or they put it in a position of fear, and I don't resonate with the rhino as something to fear. So, but I mean, this bent over tree, so evocative for the Five of Pentacles. You just feel the sadness in the scene, but how there's still little bits of grass here popping up. Maybe spring is coming around the corner, but it doesn't feel like that because we're in such a snowy scene. Goodness, this is definitely hard. I don't use this deck as much as I should, that's for sure. I connect with it so beautifully, but I haven't reached for it in a long time, but I could never ever get rid of it. So it's going to be hard to rank because emotionally it matters greatly to me, but practically I don't really use it right now. And that's not to say that I won't. I think everything has a cycle. Ooh. Let's see what spots I have left. Okay. Actually, I feel like 6 is very appropriate. So I'm going to put it there. That feels right. I lucked out with that one. But now I have 9 and 1 left. So, okay. Let's see. Okay. World Spirit Tarot. Oh my goodness. This is such a wonderful deck. I first saw this on Thomas Benjamin's channel, and I couldn't have a more favorite back than this. This is the first edition. There is a second edition. This edition is out of print. I have seen it around the tarot marketplace, which is where I found mine a few years ago now. I've had this a while. The cardstock is thinner, but it's super heavy. Like, you wouldn't think it would be this heavy. So it is substantial, even though it's thinner. This has a lot of culture and depth to it. It, I think, was one of the first decks that really did a great job of having representation in it from all walks of life. And how, I think, was this called lino cut, where it's carved and then the color is added and it's stamped, perhaps. This is Pixie, Pamela Coleman Smith. I love decks that feature a lot of different cultures because I can dive into the lore and the history and the background, so that adds another layer to my readings. And I love how each of the suits, including the minors, or the majors, excuse me, have a different color border, a thinner border with a different color. Again, color, these colors do speak to me. It feels very 90s, which I love. There's a grittiness to it. That handmade quality is coming through beautifully, and I love that so much. I used to read with this all the time. I have done a deck study with this. I did follow Dawn Michelle's tutorial on that, and I think I purchased her printable, where she takes you through journaling with this deck, drawing cards and making your own associations with it. It's such a great deck to have. I love that it's in my collection. I'm so glad I was able to. I mean, look at this universe card. She's so free. She's just everything I want to be. Oh, but the hard part is, where do I put this? Oh man, I don't use it a lot. I see a theme here. I feel like he picked all the ones that I so dearly love, but I haven't worked with in such a long time. That makes it hard. So I feel like putting it in the number 9 spot would be a huge disservice to the deck, but I just don't use it. And it's tough because I've been ranking these man, I think the combination of it being near and dear to me and something I use hasn't been aligned. Man, he's really tripped me up here. But is the last one exactly that? Is it one that is near and dear to me that I use all the time? Ooh. I'm going to reserve that spot. World Spirit. Okay. The last deck. I am very nervous. The Vetti Tarot. Okay. I literally just got this in yesterday. Filming time. So I have not worked with it at all. I recently acquired this. I reached out to Bianca, the creator. This deck is out of print. I saw it on a Trio of Witches channel and I absolutely fell in love because the size is so different. Her artwork is just beautiful and it made me feel something that I don't always feel with my other decks. It's very flowy and ethereal feeling. I think the only other deck that I would have put in that category at one time is the Ethereal Visions by Matt Hughes. I believe that's the name. The Art Deco deck. I don't have that anymore. I did part with it. But this deck gives me a similar feeling to that, even though it's not exactly, I mean, did I say, is it Art Deco or Art Nouveau? I'm not an art expert, so I do apologize. It gives me that flowy, ethereal, airy, but emotional, airy feeling. And I really enjoy this deck a lot. I just did an unboxing. So this is in the number 1 spot because that's the only one that's left. So let's go ahead and put the Vetti Tarot there. And now what I would like to do, well, I guess let's take a look here first. So we have Vetti Tarot, Sasuraibito, Tarotbot, Fountain Tarot, Desert Illuminations, Anima Mundi, Stella's Tarot, the Gill Tarot, the World Spirit, and the local honey picture box. So now I would like to kind of rearrange them and put them in the order as if I knew which ones they were. Okay, so we're back, and this is how I would actually rank them if I knew what was in the bag. Number 1, I would give to Tarotbot, and the reason why is on reflection, as I was reordering these, I realized how I spoke about the deck and how excited I was about it and how much joy it brought me, and I didn't talk about any other deck with that much emotion behind it. I mean, like I said, I got teary-eyed about the deck. So I just felt like it deserved that number 1 spot. And I really do, I cherish that deck so much. It's such a sweet one. Number 2 stayed the same, Sasuraibito. That feels really right to me as my first ever deck. Then I moved Desert Illuminations from number 5 to number 3. The desert in Southwest and Latin America just has my soul, and this deck is exactly all of those things. Number 4 stayed the same with the Fountain Tarot. I have such a good relationship with that deck. I felt that really felt right to be there. The World Spirit moved from number 9 to number 5, and the reason why, the World Spirit is very revered in my collection. I thoroughly respect it so much. Number 6, 7, and 8 all stayed the same. And then I moved the Vetti Tarot from number 1 to number 9. And the reason being is just, it's so brand new. I just got it yesterday. I do love the art and I'm looking forward to building the connection with it. And then number 10 stayed the same as well. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for having so much fun with me as I racked my brain trying to figure this out. It was a little tougher than I thought it would be. I think everyone has kind of gone into it with that, but it was a lot of fun and I enjoyed it. And until next time, see you around.